Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, Bachelor in Social Work, BSW. Elective Courses BSWE 002 Volume I Social Work Intervention with Individual and Groups. Unit 5 Interviewing in Social Casework 2. Introduction. The interviewing process, as we have already seen, has its main objective of gathering information and bringing about a happy adjustment between the client and her situation. The interviewer has to employ interventions that help the interviewee to extend the range and depth of the interview. She has to employ and manifest effective communication of attitudes that help to develop positive relationship. The client casework relationship has to be fostered and nurtured through the interviewing process. Many problems from inside and outside this relationship can impede the smooth flow of the interviewing process and need to be handled deftly. Once the interviewing is over, the next step is to record systematically what has transpired between the client and the caseworker. As a caseworker, you have the obligation to keep records through all the phases of practice. It is not enough for the caseworker to know what she is doing, but reporting well what one has done is of equal importance. Recording is an integral part of social casework practice as it aids in stimulating thinking about the client and helps in developing the skills required for providing effective help. As students, you should first develop a logical way of thinking about problems, followed by record writing that reflect this orderly way of thinking. The relationship of the interviewer and the interviewee. All human beings form relationships with other human beings, but the relationship formed by a caseworker with the client is special and unique. This relationship facilitates the whole interviewing process. For many, a client talking with someone who listens with a non-judgmental understanding instead of criticizing or admonishing is a unique experience. This relationship with a person who does not ask anything for himself personally but focuses his/her interest entirely on the client and yet refrains from advice or control is a very satisfying one. Garrett. The establishment of a relationship between the client and the caseworker serves as a prerequisite to a successful interviewing process. Establishing rapport. Establishing rapport, especially in the Indian context, becomes easy when the caseworker is well aware of the client's total environment as well as the socio-cultural processes which influence his/her thinking and behavior. The worker can also work through the network of family members, close friends, elders, etc. Home visits, talking over a cup of tea, knowing the interests, likes and dislikes of the client facilitate this process. The caseworker's own background, environment and behavior are of crucial importance in establishing rapport. Once a positive relationship is in place between the worker and the client is ready to open his/her heart to the caseworker. Homogeneity of language and socio-culture background further facilitates the process. The caseworker, with his/her comments and questions, continuously stimulates this process. As the more important is distinguished from the less important, crucial issues are center of focus. Supported by the relationship, the client feels free to communicate better with the worker. Even though the problem may still be unresolved, some significant changes may occur in the attitude of the client towards it. Consequently, his/her feelings of anxiety and frustration may also undergoes change and become less intense. During the interviewing process, the caseworker and the client have to keep in focus the professional nature of their relationship. A professional relationship is pursued for a purpose which should be recognized by both participants, and it is over once that purpose is achieved. In casework, the problem of the client is the mutual concern of the client and the caseworker, and the caseworker has the requisite knowledge and competence to help the client. The caseworker presents herself in the same warm and receptive ways to all clients during the interview. However, the clients may respond and react differently. Some clients may bring forth inappropriate reactions, and a caseworker should be skilled in managing the problematic responses. Transference. The most frequently encountered necessity to work a relationship occurs with the phenomena called transference to any emotionally charged relationship. Each of us brings conscious and unconscious feelings and attitudes that originally arose in or still belong to other earlier important relationships. This is readily understandable, for none of us comes newborn to new relationships. We are drawn to or repelled by persons who unconsciously remind us of others. These transferred elements of attraction or repulsion, yearning or defensiveness, liking or dislike occurs spontaneously, and they may emerge at any point in a relationship at the beginning or any time along the way. In casework, they present no particular problem if the client is not so heavily subject to them that he sees and reacts to the caseworker as though he was some person with a function other than that of a professional helper. When the client reacts inappropriately, with excessive or distraught feeling, to what is called forth, we say that a transference or a transference reaction has taken place. Transference may occur after an interview that has been deeply satisfying and has called up echoes of submerged wishes to be more fully and continuously satisfied. Then the client suddenly feels a surge of overwhelming gratitude or helpless frustration and reacts childishly. Why can't we drop all this professional stuff and just be friends? Pleads the woman, who wants the caseworker's affection but not his/her help and work on her problems. Transference may also manifest not in spoken expression at all but rather in the way a client momentarily or consistently reacts towards the caseworker. They may be considered transference reactions when on their examination in the light of the actual role and operations of the caseworker. They have not actually been provoked. Transference manifestations need to be recognized, identified, and dealt with as they occur, but the effort is to so manage the relationship and the problem solving work so as to give minimum excitation to transference. Primarily, the caseworker avoids the rousing of transference or deals with its spontaneous emergence by maintaining his/her clarity of direction, role, and purpose. Perlman, 1957. Counter-transference. The caseworker is also human who has had his/her share of satisfying and frustrating relationships in his/her personal life. He/she too may have relationship reactions and should have the requisite professional skill to manage them. She may at times unconsciously transfer into his/her relationship with the client certain positive and negative reactions or strong feelings of attachment which are not realistically called for. This phenomenon is called counter-transference. Any personal and subjective involvement with the client may be a part of counter-transference. The caseworker, through practice, will have to recognize and separate the personal from the professional and consciously control his/her subjective responses. The counter transference may otherwise hamper the smooth process of interviewing and derail the interviewing process. Transference and counter-transference are dynamic factors that operate in casework interview and have to be dealt with maturity and competence. Specific interviewing problems. During the interview process, the interviewer and the interviewee may at times face a variety of problems or blocks those prevent or impede the interviewing process. The most obvious of these is physical and the most complex is psychological. However, many a time they may appear in combination. For effective interviewing, one must be alert to such barriers and take remedial steps. Some of the specific interviewing problems are explained here, which could be due to any of the following factors: environmental factors, socio-cultural factors, psychological factors, factors related to the client caseworker, environmental factors, physical setting and seating arrangement. The purpose at the beginning of the interview is to establish a setting, mood and pace which will be conducive to a productive conversation. The physical setting and the seating arrangement may sometimes serve as a barrier. If the client is made to sit too far or too close, it may put him ill at ease. The physical setting should be one that leads to comfort and helps him relax. The client and the caseworker should not sit sideways but face to face, so as to establish eye contact, else the worker will not be able to note all facial expressions. Seating of chairs should not be such so as to lead to physical inconvenience which could be distracting. Insufficient light and excess temperature can negatively affect the interviewee's initial response to the interviewer. Any physical barriers to nonverbal communication where the interviewee's body is nonverbal can make the client inaccessible to conversation. Noise. The place of interview should be free of any disturbance or distraction. Noise can be a source of distraction for both the client and the interviewer, and it should be minimal. During casework interviewing, the environment should be noise free so that nothing is unheard. For example, if the interview is disturbed by loud traffic noise, the worker may have to ask the client to repeat, which may lead to irritability and loss of vital information. Lack of privacy and frequent interruptions. Lack of privacy is a common barrier, especially in an Indian setting. More than often, the whole family wants to be a part and parcel of the interviewing process. Though privacy is desirable in certain cases, if the interviewer and interviewee belong to the opposite sex, family may not permit them to meet in isolation. Frequent telephone calls, walking in and out of the room can fail to create an atmosphere wherein the clients feel free to reveal their innermost thoughts and feelings. Further, during home visits, one may fail to get total privacy. Socio-cultural factors. Biases. Keeping one's biases from intruding into the interview is a major task at times. Many a times it is difficult to keep one's personal likes and dislikes preferences and predispositions from affecting the interaction. Biases and prejudices lead to stereotype thinking and categorization of interviewee in terms of predetermined presumptions. Socio-cultural differences, class, color, age, customs, beliefs, and sexual preference are some of the important socio-cultural differences that at times separate the interviewer from the interviewee. We generally have the tendency to stereotype a person by his/her age, race, class, or ethnicity. These factors tend to intrude at times into the interviewer-interviewee relationship. Despite the worker's vigilance, knowledge of the client's cultural milieu is necessary in understanding the client as well as in solving his/her problem. The interviewing process will be totally hampered if the interviewer fails to vary the communication patterns to accommodate differences in age, race, culture, and class. Complexes that affect people due to religious affiliations, problems may be encountered when dealing with specific concerns which are impacted by religious differences. Example: Muslim caseworker may be uncomfortable discussing gender discrimination with a Hindu female client. Class and status differences, problems may crop up if the interviewer is from a lower class and goes to interview people who have high status. The high status person is faced with the problem of maintaining appropriate distance without becoming unapproachable. The lower status interviewer has the problem of assuring the interviewee of her expertise and knowledge in her own area. In the Indian context, a higher caste client may find it difficult to talk freely with the low caste worker. Psychological factors, differences of age, intelligence, and attitudes. If the interview content is not according to the age of the client, then distortion is likely to occur in their interaction. Aspects like age differences may at times operate as barrier to effective interviewing, especially if the client is too young or much older. To the interviewer, a generation gap is inevitable. The interviewer may have special problems with her own feelings when working with interviewees from different age groups. The interaction should be channelized according to the client's level of intelligence. The interviewer must keep a check on client's attitude. The interview must always be adapted to the client, emotionally and intellectually. Always the interview must start where the client is and move ahead as fast as the client can move. Personal inadequacies and personality complexes. The interviewer as a human may have personality complexes or his/her own personal inadequacies. He may be introvert or of shy nature. One's personal complexes and limitations could also act as a barrier at times. Factors related to client and the caseworker. Lying and fabrication. Lying and fabrications by the interviewee present a difficult problem for the social work interviewer. A relationship built on lies and maintained through lies, one lies leading to others, involves a complex mixture of feelings, none of which can lead to easy communication. Clients lie because they want to be accorded respect and acceptance. They want to present a socially desirable facade, hiding the imperfections. If you suspect lying, ask yourself what prompts this behavior. What purpose does it serve? Our effort should be to act in a manner which would deny the client all reason for lying. Boredom and frustration. Repeated casework. Interviews with the same general problem. Increase boredom and it becomes hard to maintain the same level of interest. The clients may become bored and somewhat calloused, having listened repeatedly to a long series of difficult sessions with many similar elements. Hiding back vital information. Clients hide back vital information because they have the feeling of insecurity and they want to be accorded respect and acceptance. The interviewer should assure the client for confidentiality and assuring for the betterment. Non-cooperative client. At the onset of the casework interaction, clients show no interest towards sharing their problem and try to avoid the interaction by maintaining a long spell of silence. Many a times the clients may refuse to cooperate, hampering the interviewing process. Misunderstanding the message. The language used during interview should be simple and understandable to the client so that client may not mislead the interview interaction. Transference reaction on the part of the client can also obstruct the smooth flow of the interviews. Factors related to caseworker. Inability to vary the pattern of interviewing to accommodate the differences in race, class, culture. Exploiting position and power to dominate. Interviewee. Selective attention and listening. Stereotype thinking and categorization of client on the basis of preconceived assumptions. Overemphasizing personal need gratification and rewards. Priority to own needs over the needs of the client. Professional failure. Self-control in case of the client's hostility, rejection and abusive behavior. Coming unprepared for the interview. Bureaucratic approach with more inclination towards procedural details and strict interpretation of rules. Task-oriented approach rather than person-oriented approach. Too active or too passive. Countertransference reactions. This is by no means an exhaustive list. Success in the interview would depend on the joint efforts of the client and the caseworker to overcome these problems. Case recording concept. After the interviewing process is over, the caseworker has the obligation to record the interview. The language of interview now has to be translated into the language of the record, file, forms, computer. According to Kadushin, recording can be seen as a part of the interview process. Through the act of recording, the interview continues in the mind of the interviewer. After it is terminated, it is a retrospective living of the encounter. As a consequence, the interviewer of necessity has to selectively decide which aspects of the interview were more significant. She has to systematically organize a somewhat chaotic experience. What is a case record? A record literally means a formal writing of any fact or proceeding, and when used as a verb means to set down in writing or other permanent form. Taking cue from this, we can define case record as a written account of the casework proceedings. However, from the above statement, one should not conclude that case recording is an easy, routine and simple task. Far from it, it's a highly skilled and complex task. Recording is an important and integral part of casework procedure and is an output of the activity of the casework. The importance of recording lies both in the process as well as the product. For an individual who is planning to become a caseworker, the art of record writing is worth striving to develop and perfect, not only because case recording is an essential part of good casework and is becoming a more important factor with the increasing complexity of social treatment, but also because the case record is fortunately or unfortunately often used as one of the important indexes of the caseworker's ability. A question often asked is, why do we need to write records? Do they really serve any purpose? The importance of case records can be ascertained when we look at their functions and the varied purposes they serve. Purpose of recording. According to experts, recording in social casework serves the following purposes. It aids practice. It aids administration. It aids teaching and supervision. It aids research. As an aid to practice, the fact that recording has improved the practice of social casework is now well accepted and is considered as the most important device to develop one's skills in this area. Records help in diagnosis and treatment. It enables the caseworker to analytically reflect upon and improve his or her practice, thus enabling efficient interviewing and intervention. As the caseworker gives the information collected and organized and structured form, analysis and critical thinking becomes easier. Case records are essential for refreshing the memory, especially when cases stretch for too long and the worker may lose track of detail. They also enable better planning for the next interview and provide the opportunity to rectify previous mistakes. This knowledge, when passed on to a new worker, ensures that the same mistakes are not repeated. As an aid to administration, records also serve as important tools of administration. They serve as an index for the correction of policies and practices. Further, they also give an insight into the caseworker's ability and ensure continuity if the caseworker is transferred or resigns. They help the agency in not only evaluating the caseworker but also in the evaluation and reappraisal of the existing and as well as future services. Records are also of great importance when client is referred from one agency to another for specialized services, as they ensure continuity. Further, they allow sharing of information between agencies as an aid to teaching and supervision. Recording as a teaching and supervision device is indispensable. Records aid teaching and supervision in that they add to the body of knowledge of social work and make this knowledge communicable. They provide an opportunity to the students to organize and present information and observations, reflection and action in a systematic manner. It is useful for reflecting on one's role and reactions in an interaction. Recording serves as a tool for supervision and evaluation whereby a teacher can encourage students to analyze and interpret data, expressing their individuality through it. Supervision encourages the cultivation of better recording skills and better casework. As a result, it can be used in systematically training the students and is an important device to introduce students to practice. As an aid to research, records can be used for social research and planning. They are the chief source of material for research done on such important subjects as the effectiveness of casework as a social work method. Records contain accumulated experience of social workers which can be translated into statistical form and thereby help in finding solution to social problems. Purposes of recording in casework: helps in diagnosis and treatment, enables more effective interviewing and intervention. As an aid to practice contributes to analytical reflection and improvement in casework practice. Useful for organizing and structuring of information. Aids orderly thinking. Refreshes the memory of the worker, increases retrospective understanding. Enables better planning for subsequent interview. Useful as a guide to new worker in correcting past mistakes. Useful as an index for correction of policies. Ensure continuity if any caseworker discontinues a case. As an aid to ability of caseworker can be gauged. Administration useful for future reference. Useful in evaluation of agency. Allows sharing of information between agencies. Helps in supervision and training of students. As an aid to teaching, adds to body of knowledge of social work, which is and supervision made communicable. Enables students to develop analytical and interpretative skills. Easy method of introducing students to practice. As an aid to research, useful for social research and planning. Contains accumulated experience. Can help in providing statistical data on social problems. Types of recording. From the literature available on casework recording, no clear-cut classification of records on the basis of their types is available. However, for our understanding, we can give the following classification of recording: A. Process. B. Summary. C. Verbatim. D. Non-verbatim. Process recording. Process recording is a form of recording used frequently by the caseworker. In this type, the process of interview is reported and is a rather detailed description of what transpired with considerable paraphrasing. It preserves a sequence in which the various matters were discussed. It includes not only what both the worker and the client said but also significant reaction of the client and changes in mood and response. In this, the interview and observation go hand in hand. It may be verbatim or non-verbatim reproduction. Summary recording. Summary is a good device for organizing and analyzing facts. Summary points into meaning and relative importance of material gathered. A careful summary made at appropriate intervals reduces bulk, clarifies direction, and saves the workers time. Summary is commonly assumed to be a review or recapitulation of material that has already appeared in the record. It may be either topically arranged or may appear as condensed chronological narrative. Mrs. Sheffield has defined summary in social casework recording as a digest of significant facts in the client's history which has previously been recorded. Summary could be a diagnostic summary, periodic summary, or closing summary. The closing summary is a summary made at the time the case is closed. To be most effective, it should be written by the worker who was responsible for the case at the time of closing. The periodic summary is simply the summary of material previously recorded and is made at more or less regular intervals or at the end of more or less definite episodes in the family history. Verbatim recording. It is reproduction of factual data in the individual's own words. It is commonly used in casework because of its accuracy and objectivity. However, it should not become a mechanical reproduction of information because casework as an art requires an intelligent selection and rearrangement of material as a part of training of the worker. Verbatim recording may be of value in developing objectivity. Non-verbatim narrative recording. Narrative recording has been and still is a predominant style of recording. It is the style found in newspapers and magazines. It is the way we speak of the day's events, it is the way we write letters, and it is the ways we keep diaries. Narrative form of recording is preferred for reporting acts of practical helpfulness, events, and most collateral visits or conferences. It may be used for the contents of the interview in all instances except when the process itself and use of relationship have special significance. Principles of recording. How we wish, especially in the initial stages of practice, that there were some fixed rules and perfect procedures which could guide us in writing case records. However, there is no such thing as an ideal or model record. Record is a flexible instrument which should be adapted to the needs of the case. Each case is different, the conditions of work hold marked differences, and the recording therefore rests not on following an outline, but in the mastery of certain component processes. Given below are the attributes one looks for in a good case records whereby we can judge it to its merits. They can be termed as principles of casework recording as they serve as guidelines for writing records. 1. Accuracy, objectivity, simplicity, clarity, and brevity should be observed in writing records. 2. Facts and their interpretation should be distinguished as it leads to objectivity. Inferences should be drawn in an impartial manner without attempting to influence the judgment of the reader. E.g., frequent fights between the husband and wife might lead the caseworker to interpret that she dislikes or hates her husband. 3. Record must be orderly in its arrangement, and it is not possible unless the writer has thought out in advance what should be included and then has set out the material in a logical sequence. 4. A long record is not necessarily a good record. Records should neither be too long nor too short. 5. The casework records are not meant to be literary masterpieces, therefore they should be written in simple language and simple style. 6. A telling verbatim quote can sometimes depict a situation much better than a narrative description. Therefore, wherever possible, reaction of the clients should be recorded in their own words. 7. There should be certain degree of uniformity and standardization as to the form of observation. 8. A record should have readability and visibility and should contain a clear and concise presentation of the material. E.g., content can be organized under topical headings such as interviews, home visits, contact with collaterals, letters, medical reports, etc. filed at appropriate place. 9. To maintain clarity and accuracy, avoid using words which are vague, ambiguous, and likely to be misinterpreted by the readers. E.g., middle-aged, perhaps, etc. Note-taking as far as possible should be done immediately after the interview is over. If done during the course of interview, it may not only hamper the full participation of caseworker in the process but may make the client feel that she is not getting the full attention of the caseworker. 10. It should always be made clear who are involved in the situation, which is addressing whom and what are the sources of information. 11. The details of every significant subject or situation should be given. 12. One should not record the self-evident, the insignificant, the familiar, and the repetitive. 14. Any record should show clearly the nature of the problem presented or the request made, or what the worker thinks about the situation, what the worker and client know about it, what relevant family group and community factors are involved, what the change or movement of outcome are. Guidelines for casework recording. Record is a dynamic and flexible instrument, hence no hard and fast rules can be prescribed. The casework record should reflect an orderly way of thinking which can be done through a flexible use of process, summarized and condensed recording so that the recorded material becomes a positive aid to the worker in his/her practice. The following guidelines, however, may be observed. 1. Maintain a field work diary. While in the field, you must carry with you a field work diary. This diary is used for writing events and incidences as they happen during the day. They may cover such things as names, addresses, dates, and details of interviews with the client and collaterals, observations, inferences, and any other such relevant information. From this jumbled up data, you are then expected to organize systematically the available information into a formal case record. The daily process record may comprise the following. A. Conduct the interview, write in narrative style the questions asked and the way they were answered, or in other words, write about the interview as it took place. The observation should be suitable recorded, such as the mannerisms, expressions, gestures, hesitation, silence, resistance, discomfort, emotions expressed, refusal to answer certain questions, etc. The record should also reflect significant reactions of the client, such as changes in mood and responses, body language, the subjects from which the client tends to shy away or finds difficult to discuss. B. Extra information on environmental factors, relationships with those around gathered with home visits or any other source could be mentioned. Letters or other such documents could be attached. At the end of report, you should give your inferences and interpretation. You should indicate the meaning you derived from the events and incidents and reasons for it. You should conclude by briefly outlining your plans for the next meeting or the next steps you propose to take, in other words, your future plan with respect to that case. This may include 1. Areas to be covered in the next interview. 2. Collaterals to be contacted. 3. Information to be obtained for the next meeting. How to collect and organize data. The caseworker can use the following tools and devices for collecting data. 1. Face sheet intake sheet. 2. Ecomap. 3. Genogram. Face sheet intake sheet. Face sheet or intake sheet, as some prefer to call it, is generally filled in at the initial phase of the casework process. Most of the social work agencies have a more or less standardized proforma which has blanks for entries to be made by the worker related to the identification data, such as name, age, occupation, family profile, and other such information. The purpose of the face sheet is to give in a convenient form the objective social facts or situation of the client of a permanent character to particularize the case. Genogram. A family genogram is the graphic representation of one's family tree. It gives a pictorial representation of the members along with a chronological statement of significant events. It helps in assessing a person's psychosocial characteristics or the interactional patterns of the family. The caseworker organizing the information can make it brief or extensive depending on the purpose it is to serve. EcoMap. Though family experiences are significant, people are also greatly affected by the social context in which they live. Our record will not be complete if we do not depict this social context. An EcoMap is an effective tool for this purpose. According to Hartman, 1978, an EcoMap is an extremely useful tool for portraying the social context because it provides a diagrammatic representation of a person's social world. In addition to presenting an overview of a person, family, or household in context, the EcoMap readily identifies the energy enhancing and energy depleting relationships between members of a primary social system, e.g., family or household, and the outside world. The graphic nature of the EcoMap highlights social strengths and social deficiencies and helps to identify areas of conflict and compatibility. It often indicates areas where change may be needed. The EcoMap is a natural adjunct to the genogram. Conclusion. In this chapter, we have further studied some important aspects of the interviewing process, namely the relationship of the interviewer and the interviewee and some specific interviewing problems. The establishment of a relationship between the client and the caseworker serves as a prerequisite to successful interviewing and facilitates the whole interviewing process. Once a positive relationship is established, the client becomes ready to open his or her heart to caseworker. The caseworker presents himself/herself in the same warm and receptive ways to all clients during the interview. However, the client may respond and react differently. Transference and counter-transference are dynamic factors that operate in casework interview and have to be dealt with maturity and competence. Some specific problems, which can be due to social, psychological factors or which can be specifically caseworker or client centered, are sometimes likely to impede the casework. Interviewing, such as biases, prejudices, lying, holding back information, etc. The caseworker has to be sensitive to these problems and consciously make efforts to overcome them when they intrude into the casework. Interview. Once the purpose is accomplished, the interviewing process is dissolved. Having conducted and completed the interview, the caseworker is now faced with the important task of recording the interview and has to selectively decide which aspect of the interview was most significant and record it. The case record should contain a clear, concise, accurate, and objective presentation of the material. It should be properly organized and should not be too long or too short and should be readable. Caseworkers should not only be consumer of the practice of others but strive to be further creators